Valerie Jarrett, the same Jarrett that said no to taking out Osama 3 times, said yet to sending the cavalry into Benghazi. Obama and Jarrett's only concern is to get re-elected. The entire attack was orchestrated by Egypt's Morsi to kidnap Ambassador Chris Stevens to bargain with President Romney to secure the release of Morsi's guy, the blind sheikh. Obama promised Morsi the blind sheikh after November the 6th. Rasmussen's polls forced Morsi to move on Plan B, an insurance policy named Ambassador Chris Stevens. 1. The initial attack was not a bloodbath. A couple of the American guards, of the 7 people at the compound, confronted the attackers pouring into the compound, then retreated to buildings other than Stevens. When the attackers could not get to Stevens locked in his safe rooms behind a lightweight bar wall, they did not shoot wildly or risk setting off a booby trap by tearing down the bars. They lit diesel fuel to smoke Stevens out. Sean Smith's body and their guard got out when limited rescue arrived. Stevens did not. 2. The armored escape vehicle, used from the consulate to the CIA compound, which the attackers thought contained Stevens, had its tires shot out. Again, more consistent with stopping the vehicle to seize its contents than to the wanton slaughter of Americans. 3. After attacking and overrunning the CIA compound, where Doherty and Woods died from mortar rounds on their sniper positions on 2 rooftops, the attackers went back to the consulate and found Stevens still alive and took him to the hospital where he died. Terrorists hell-bent on slaughtering Americans do not take wounded Americans to the hospital. Egyptian Morsi ordered the kidnapping of Stevens in order to exchange him for the blind sheikh after the election. Iran hostages 1980. After they found Stevens' body and were dragging him out the window, on video, someone realizes he is still breathing and yells, "God is great," in Arabic, and they rush him to the hospital. Obviously, they were not going to be paid by Morsi for a dead Stevens. I am guessing that the attackers or even Morsi communicated their intentions to Obama before or during the attack, and since it was not an outright slaughter, Jarrett decided to sit back and watch, hoping there would be no bodies to explain. 1. By not sending in the cavalry on 9/11, there was less chance for there to be American bodies to have to explain to Ohioans. When Sean Smith's murder was reported, Jarrett told herself, "We can explain that away." 3 to 7 hours later, when Glenn Doherty and Tyrone Woods' deaths were reported, Jarrett told herself, "We can cover that up." When Ambassador Stevens' death was reported, the fighting was long over. 2. By not sending in more security in April, after the first consulate bombing, there was less chance for there to be American bodies to have to explain to Ohioans. 3. By not sending in more security after the bombing in June, there was less chance for there to be American bodies to have to explain to Ohioans. 4. By removing Colonel Woods' ex-Navy SEAL security team in August, there was less chance for there to be American bodies to have to explain to Ohioans. The only reason to not beef up security after 2 bombings and an assassination attempt on the British, and after all that the Americans had pulled out of Benghazi because of escalating attacks, was that there was less chance for there to be American bodies to have to explain to Ohioans, or they were on really good working/partnership weapons to Syria terms with the Muslim Brotherhood terrorists controlling Benghazi. Al-Qaeda black flags flying over Benghazi government buildings. The only reason to stay in Benghazi was to coordinate the weapons to Syrian terrorists program in a town that had the cover of no other Western diplomats present. Since the White House was dealing directly with the terrorists, 200 visits to the White House by Hamas. More Muslim Brotherhood have visited the White House since 2009 than Republican members of Congress, in helping anti-Israel Islamists take over Syria and move one step closer to a clean sweep for the Muslim Brotherhood of all Western tolerant governments in the next to Israel Middle East. The White House certainly had the expectation of cooperation from their Islamist brethren. Why would they need to attack the Islamists attacking the consulate when they could just get them on the phone or have them swing by the White House Situation Room and explain what was going on? Group of symbols. Clearly, the White House was tricked by their partners in weapons to Syria crime after the White House told Morsi to wait until after the election to get their blind shake. Morsi saw the latest Rasmussen poll and realized he needed a little insurance, while insurance was still easy pickings in the form of an almost unprotected U.S. ambassador sitting in Benghazi. Too much to resist for Morsi. If Roumani gets elected, Morsi has no shot at getting blind shake released without an ambassador to bargain with. Jarrett was probably on the phone with Morsi for the entire 7 hours. Obama was in the fetal position, at her feet. Team Obama. From Susan Rice and Hillary Clinton to Jarrett and Obama to every employee of America's fraud media, ABC, CBS, NBC and their protected spawn, CNN, ITWAPO, should be tried, convicted and sentenced to life without parole. Congress should immediately subpoena CIA Director Petraeus. He will know every detail and would probably tell the truth, since he, at least, was not really part of the Obama political mafia.